get 3-bet. So we've raised in the cutoff, and we get 3-bet by a guy who's a 2016. He 3-bets 5% of the time, but what's our HUD going to tell us? And we're using our HUD. We know that on the button, and unfortunately, let me see if I can bring this up. There it is. On the button, he's 3-betting 4%. And we also know he's folding to 4-bets. 42 is actually a pretty high number. So, yeah, I think we're not calling this, and it's just way too tough to be folding. So I think we're 4-betting to 24. And maybe I missed something here. So, yeah, that's kind of the wrong 4-bet size. And usually the right 4-bet size is 24 to 26% of 100 big blind stack in this kind of situation. And he just shows, and I guess we're getting it in, which is fine. Unfortunately, it does show aces, so a bit of a cooler there. Because usually most of the time it's queens, jacks, even ace king or ace queen. So just a bit of a cooler, given the fact that his 4-bet range is 1.7. We don't have a 5-bet stat. There's no such thing. But he does, once we 4-bet there, we're kind of committed, especially with ace king. Now we've got queens in the big blind. And a 41-6 raises. And that's really weird because he's only raising his absolute premium hands. Aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king, ace, queen. I think 10s might be in there. I don't think ace, jack might be in there as far as what's 6% range. I don't know off the top of my head. I really should. But it's late. What am I going to do? So we're never flatting this. Good raise. And though he does this min 4-bet. Oh, so I think we just get it in. And I call here, which really don't like. And so all overs. And we go for the check raise. So something in the back of my head's really telling me we had a read on this guy and that he would do stuff like this. And then I had a note on him inside the Full Tilt Poker software. So I really, really strongly think that was the case, that this guy would do min 4-bets and then spew post flop. So I still like just getting it in on the flop, but I have a feeling that's kind of what I had planned. I had a plan here and just went with it. Unfortunately, it does show aces, so I sucked out. I mean, this is unprecedented. These are the only two hands this has ever happened to me, probably all year. So, yay for me. But, I think the best thing to do there would have been to just get it in. But these min 4-bets are just the worst news in the world, because when fish do it, it's just aces every time. So, especially in the big blind or small blind, a min 3-bet or whatever, it's you want to take a note of it, but it's just always aces. It's sick. All right, queen jack off in the big blind. This guy min raises. This guy calls. The fact that the button player folds to 3-bet 74% is the reason I'm hoping I 3-bet here. Unfortunately, I just called. So, man, definitely mark these hands for a good reason. So, flop the straight draw on a two-tone board. He leads out. We're not going away. And we hit our straight, and that's the nuts. So, when you've got the nuts, real easy rule of thumb, raise. And so, not a huge fan of the raise size, even though that's more than pot. It's fine. So he calls, and the diamond hits, and I've got a really bad feeling I know what's coming up. And so this is not a raise. He's shown he is on a flush draw so much of the time, and he's given you just the right price to call here. So I'm glad I minimized the damage, and he does show king queen. One of those hands where I don't think he's going away no matter what, even if the turn bet size, which I wish had been a little bit bigger, had been correct. But, just one of those hands. And good job on the river, just kind of minimizing the damage. And tough to let those go, but you're never raising, so keep that in mind. All right, moving on to our next hand, 33 in the big blind. That was little sound effects there for you. Got a limper, got a guy who raises. It didn't happen on this hand, so I'll just touch on it real quick. I don't want to overdo it here, but when I see a guy who always jumps on the limpers and he folds the 3-bets really well, meaning like 65, 70% or better, I'm 3-betting him very, very wide just because it looks super strong. We're exploiting his weaker range because he's trying to steal the limp pot. So keep that in mind. Didn't happen in this hand, so I'm not going to go in too much into depth. Just a little tip there. But we're calling strictly for the fact that we know this super deep fish is going to be never folding in this spot. And we flopped the world. Very good news to be flopping a boat. Multi-way against a fish and kind of a weak, taggish, weird kind of guy. So, check, bet. A flop boat is one of the very few hands that I would slow play at the flop. Unfortunately, our fish folds. That's disappointing. And we turn quads. So, the good news is, if he's got an ace, he ain't folding. So, he checks. I check, he checks, which I don't like. I should have let out there on the turn. And so, betting 20 into 30. I think we're trying to get value from kings, queens, that might just not believe we have an ace at this point. He min raises, and once that happens, boom, we get it in. That's fine. He calls, he shows an ace. So, obviously, your read's always going to be better after you've played the hand and can just slowly go into it. But he's leading there. I don't know, I'd say with a wide range. Not necessarily any ace. And then here, we've got to be betting because we're both slow playing. I mean, at the turn, there's no reason to be slow playing, especially when you get the nuts. So he checks. And, yeah, so, I mean, it was kind of inevitable that was going to happen and a bit of a cooler for this guy. But don't think there was any need to slow play that turn with the check raise at all. All right, king jack off, and I'm not usually playing. Fishy guy, 42-12 stats, min raises. So we 3-bet him on the button, and he calls. So just got to shake your head when a guy is min betting, then calling a 3-bet out of position. He checks. Fortunately, on a board like this, just c-betting is just tough. Go ahead and c-bet, 3-bet pot. He goes ahead and calls, and then I think we're just checking. Decent scare card comes up. He checks, and one last stab at it. Worth it? If he doesn't have an ace, yes. I mean, it's the kind of thing where if he has an ace, he is calling this. If he doesn't have an ace, and he has, a pair of nines or whatever, he's folding. And maybe even tens fold here. I don't know. I have to give this one some more thought. But betting the scare card like this, I don't think it's horrible. He calls, he's going to show 10. So I guess I was wrong. I guess 10s do call this. And I was just proving that fact. But that seems super fishy to me to be doing that. So just one of those weird hands.